I guess two questions. Do you usually transcribe a large amount of material or just a specific amount? And then when you have that transcription finished, what's the first couple things you do with that?
Usually if I transcribe something, I'm one of those people. Well, sometimes I'll just take a hot lick. Say, what is that? But I just play along with it and get it. But if I say, oh man, I want this, I got to learn this, I'll sit there and I'll do the whole solo. And I'll play along with it and try to get the same time feel, because that's usually what I love about it. When you see the notes on paper, you know, they mean something, of course, but it's the way they play. It's not what they play, it's how they play it. So I try to learn about as much of that as I can. After that, I might take some of the hot lines that completely dazzle me and play them in all keys. And, you know, I'm analyzing, gee, where do they come in? Do they come in the and the 3 all the time? And they're always going over the bar line, and man, he's always using this this other chord when he gets to this chord, you know, that sort of thing. It says, I play a lot of overtones. What exercises do? I play the B flat scale, low B flat to middle B flat, and I make it go up an octave and a fifth, so it comes out an F scale. And I do that, and then I'll just do the chromatically the same thing, and that helps me with my overtones. Then I try to get every overtone, play the overtone, and then lip it down a half step and bring it back, the overtone. So that means that I'm not using pressure to get the overtone, but I'm being loose. And I want to be loose because I get more sound, the sound that I'm looking for when I'm loose. It said, Jerry, I had the pleasure of hearing you back in the 70s with Dave Brubeck and his sons when our paths crossed. Chris told me, that's one of Dave's sons, you were much easier to play with than so-and-so, and a lot funnier. Care to comment? Well, here's my comment. In this music business and in life, if you don't have a good sense of humor, you're in trouble. So it's good to laugh at yourself and again, have fun playing music, because if we're not having fun, do something else. Yes?
I'd like to follow up on his earlier question about kinds of music that happen in other generations, later generations. Some players, some great players, find a way, of course, to not just play jazz, but to use the jazz skill set in radically different contexts. I think of Michael Brecker. I'm constantly amazed at his range, and Herbie Hancock, Branford Marsalis. When you listen to those players, do you ever listen to their material that's not jazz and find that it benefits you in some way in your playing, or do you find you don't listen to Michael Brecker to the average white man, but to Michael Brecker recordings or something? A lot of jazz players are very critical, for example, of Herbie.
I love Herbie Hancock when he plays with singers. It just completely knocks me out. Just the reharms and the way he accompanies a singer just knocks me out. When I hear Branford do hip hop, you know, on alto, what's it called? La Funk?
Buckshot.
Yeah. And I hear the way he plays alto, I think, man, to me, that sounds like his real voice. You know, I love the way he does that. It's fantastic. I like him doing that more than anything else. You know, I like his other stuff too, don't misunderstand me, but when I hear him do that, I say, wow, that's really authentic sounding. When I hear Mike do his stuff, like his more commercial stuff, yeah, he sounds great doing anything. He could sound great on a lead pipe and a reed. But I'd rather hear him play jazz. Yes?
I thought of a question about, do you have any tricks for relaxing and getting into the right mindset to perform your best?
Do you drink? No. I'm only kidding. No. My mindset is not to care. Because, some people are born with confidence. They think no matter what they play, it's the greatest stuff that's ever been played. And it might be. I do know players, it is the greatest stuff, and they think it is. And I know other people, it's actually not that good, but they think it is. And I have the opposite is true. That these people play the greatest stuff, but they think it's terrible. So, and there's other people, it is terrible, and they think it's terrible. So, there's all scenarios. So I get back to my original phrase, the mind is a terrible thing. You can't listen to it. So the best way is you don't care anymore. You play. If it sounds good, great. If it doesn't, hey, it's a moment in time. Nobody's human. Yes?
I was kind of wondering, because you also play drums a bit, and obviously sax, in your articulation process, do you find that playing the sax helped you, distinguish your articulation on the drum set, the short and longs, and
oh, yeah.
You have a certain intonation process that you rely on for establishing like the short and longs articulation on the drums?
Yeah, it's different feels. I'll sit there and I'll say, oh man, I'm gonna play a medium tempo with this feel. I'm gonna change feels. I'm gonna see if I can sit back further, or I'm gonna get a little bit on top at the time, and that kind of thing. But saxophone helps that, and that helps the saxophone with the articulations. And oh yeah. Especially, I'm hearing the drums kind of like a melodic instrument. It's just a funny looking saxophone to me, and I'm playing it in that context. It says, can I compare my sound now back with Brubeck? And it's different. You try to get a good sound, and then after a while, you just need to change it no matter what. I think, for me, this is my personal. It's like you get a nice shirt on, it looks cool. You go in the mirror, this is a nice shirt. I like it. I like the color, and then you get up the next. It's a nice shirt, but after 6 months of wearing the same shirt, you say, man, I need another shirt. I don't care what it looks like. I just want another shirt. I'm going to try something else. I need another sound. And it could be on the same mouthpiece of reed, but you change up. It could be you get another saxophone. It could be whatever. What music, it could be another company, or it could be another one of the same. What music do you want to take on in the future? I want to go out to space and hear what they hear out there, just kind of bring it back to Earth. What setup are you using now? Serial. Oh, I'm using a 10-star link in a 3 soft Rico Select unfiled. Do you have any tips or tricks for memorizing chord progressions within tunes? Yeah, if you can memorize the Roman numerals like 1 6 2 5 3 6 2 5 1 1 6, or sharp 4 minus 7 to 4 minus 7 to 3 to flat 3 diminished to 2 5 1, that's great. But sometimes the tune doesn't have that in it, and you have to think, this chord went down a major third to a 2 5, and then it resolved up a whole step to a new 1 chord, to a 2 minor, to a 3 minus 7 flat 5, to a 6 dominant. That 6 dominant went down to another 5 chord, and that's a new 6 dominant in another key. So I'm thinking interval and Roman numeral. And between those, I got it covered. I got my schematic, and I can play the tunes in any key. I might not, for a chorus, be able to be as fluent, but after a couple of courses, I'm right there. I can conjure the changes up real quick. Any questions? Any answers, and I'll give you the question. The meter's running out. Yes?
What's your handicap?
My handicap? Man, I don't play golf, but...
You got it, because, as I expected again, the reason I ask is I started playing golf about 10 years ago, and there's a lot of parallels between golf and music, particularly improvisational music.
Yeah.
Not only in terms of shot selection, but you talk about practice routine. Like if I go to the driving range, for example, I'm going to spend 15 minutes with the driver, that's it, like your hour clock.
Yeah.
Same thing. The pros, they cut up their practice time to divide it so that they don't overemphasize one thing or the other. And of course, just like with us, some parts of their game are good or suck depending upon what's going on. Like you watch Tiger, he might be putting terribly, so he'll spend, I went down to the Masters, all he did was practice putting. So like with us too, if our tone sucks, maybe we'll practice long tones some more instead of, if our ideas are hip, that's cool. Otherwise we got to like maybe drink a lot and change up the ideas.
But you for a tone, so well, how do you get a good tone? You have to hear a good tone. You just can't get a mouthpiece and a reed and a saxophone and say, I'm gonna play this and get a tone. You have to think about what is a good tone. What do I want to sound like? You need a role model. You just can't. You know what I mean? You have to have an idea of what it sounds like. So.
Well, like Dexter Gordon said in Round Midnight when he said in the shrink's office, you don't just go pick a style or a sound or whatever. He said off a tree one day. It's growing with inside you. So it's interesting your comment said about changing it, because if I listen to my playing from say 25 years ago, obviously I'm better, but the core sound is like the same. And if I listen to say Stan Getz, even though his sound improved, in my view at least, toward the end of his life, which is particularly interesting considering the fact he was dying of lung cancer, his sound at say People Time is just superlative, and I think far superior to the even wonderful sound he had in the 60s. But it's at core the same sound.
Yeah. I guess you get born with a voice and you can change it up. I think you can do a lot with it. But there are certain elements that you don't change. Mm-hmm. And if you do want to change it, you have to change who you are. That's what changes. Some people don't change. Some people change spiritually, and their sound changes. Mm-hmm. If you take somebody like Stan, I kind of like his sound in the early 50s the best. Mosquito knees, rubber neck, It sounded like there was a halo around it. And then as it got later, sometimes it sounded like he had a bad reed. But don't forget, Stan had problems his whole life.
Sure.
And then he kicked his problems the last few years.
Mm-hmm. But if you look at Brecker on the Pilgrimage recording, and I think, I think he's using a rubber out of Lick 8. But his sound is just dramatically different on that recording than for most of his, career that we're familiar with.
Listen to Sonny Rollins. Every record I have of him, he sounds completely different.
Yeah, every time you hear him.
Every time you hear him, he sounds different. Particularly in his earlier records, he'd be using this horn, a Kahn, then he's using a Boucher, then he's using a Martin, then he's using a this, he's using a that. He had a lot of shirts. Okay, one more question, and I'm done. Yes?
Do you have any tricks or things to work on? You can, mass amounts of tunes memorized? Like, you have just knowing, lots of tunes. Like, do you go over them a lot, or just...
Well, the only thing that I can think of is you make yourself... What instrument do you play? Make yourself a play-along of 2 choruses each of 100 tunes, we'll say, to begin with. And just go through and... or even 1 chorus each. And go through and play the 100 tunes every day. Play the melody every day, and then play the first chorus, play the melody. Second, play a chorus on it. Go on to the next tune. You'll remember. When I started memorizing tunes is when on the gig, because then I didn't want to read music, and that's when I started really memorizing tunes. We're done. We're good. We're cooked.